I'm the Vice Chief Executive of Truth Teller, and we also have two representatives from Truth Teller to represent on behalf of Mr. James Charles in regard to one of the unclear comments toward African people. Here we are going to clarify some of the misunderstanding between Mr. Charles and the public, and reveal the official statement of Mr. Charles toward this event. We are sorry that we have brought extremely negative impact to CoverGirl, and we hope the following solution may help to make up for his public image. Let's have Nate describe the first solution.
Okay. Mr. James Charles' recent tweet has irritated the African friends, and he was being accused of a racist. Immediately after this, Mr. James Charles deleted the tweet and apologized immediately on Twitter according to his inappropriate comment on Ebola in Africa. And he is extremely sorry for the bad reputation he's brought to CoverGirls as brand ambassadors. And he also apologized to the African people for what he had said and for the bad influence he had on his young fans. And now we have Mr. We have Mr. James Charles here on the side. Hey sisters, I just want to say sorry to all of you. You know, I have a lot of African friends, and they're getting along very well with me. I've already sent them, I invited them to one of my videos, to my apologizing videos. I just want to say sorry. I will not make this stupid mistake again. I'm only 18, please believe me. Please give me one more chance.
Thanks, Ms. Charles. Next, we have Shine to describe the last solution.
And as you see, Mr. James Charles have very sorry about his words to the African people, and he decided to donate money to assist the African government to fight Ebola. And also, as you know, James Charles is the
Brand ambassador.
yeah, he's the brand ambassador of the CoverGirl, and he will pay the indemnity to CoverGirl that the CoverGirl had lost because his behavior. And James Charles will take full responsibility to the negative impact to CoverGirl. And thank you everyone for coming to the press conference today. James Charles has done a lot of soul searching and paid a price for his verbal gaps. So those are his responses to this behavior. Next is the Q&A section. You can ask a question if you would like to know.
Sorry.
You can ask a question.
Why is James not apologizing himself? He just cried.
In case you didn't notice, he was here.
Only a while.
Yes.
How is he feeling, really?
He felt very uncomfortable recently because of this event.
I have some questions
Yes.
to him, to James Charles.
Yes, we are on behalf of James Charles.
Oh, okay. So before he sent this Twitter, do you think he has some, the specific purpose of discrimination, or just share some exciting moment?
Right. Good question. As far as I know, Mr. Charles was trying to joke on Twitter with his friends, but he didn't realize that would be such bad influence and consequences, and arouse this much reaction from the public. And he's very sorry now, and he will not do that again.
It's just not offense. It's just a joking.
Question?
joking.
Have you apologized to the American people, African people on internet?
Yeah, James Charles have already to write a new tweet on the Twitter to apologize to the African people, and also he made a new episode of his video in his YouTube channel to apologize.
Okay, thank you.
How will you deal with such bad impression from the young generation?
Bad impression.
Yeah.
Yes, we acknowledge this is a bad influence toward his young fans. And now, as Shine had mentioned, Mr. Charles has donated to the Red Cross to aid fighting Ebola in Africa. So I think this is actually a good role model for the young fans to follow.
You mentioned that James Charles has apologised to the African communities through YouTube and the internet
Yes, that's
and
correct.
through Twitter. Do you think many of them have Twitter accounts or use YouTube in African countries that are quite remote?
Well, yes, they're quite remote, and maybe perhaps none of the Africans have heard of this news, have heard of this person, James Charles, but Mr. Charles was presenting his attitude, his apologizing attitude to the whole world, to society. So I think it doesn't necessarily the African people need to hear the answer, but the public who is supposed to receive the answer.
Okay, or perhaps more local African communities, yeah.
But definitely he's not a racist.